Welcome to your deep dive on mindfulness. Looks like you're really interested in exploring this world, especially with Full Catastrophe Living by Jon Kabat-Zinn on your list. This book is a classic for a reason, and we're going to unpack why. But I'm curious, what's drawing you to mindfulness right now? Are you hoping to find a bit more calm in your everyday life? Or maybe you're interested in how your mind can actually impact your health, whatever your reason. I think you're going to find this deep dive really fascinating.
I think it's great that you're starting with Full Catastrophe Living. It's not just about understanding mindfulness, but about actually putting it into practice in your life. And that's something I know you value.
Totally. So to kick things off, let's go straight to the source. How does Jon Kabat-Zinn actually define mindfulness?
He describes it as the awareness that emerges through paying attention on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally to the unfolding of experience moment by moment. Now, that might sound like a mouthful, but essentially, it's about shifting from constantly doing to simply being. Instead of always reacting to everything, you learn to observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment.
That makes sense. But I have to admit, it's easier said than done. I feel like I'm constantly on autopilot.
Yeah.
Just going through the motions.
You're not alone. Think about it. How often are we truly present in our own lives? We're either dwelling on the past, worrying about the future, or just mindlessly scrolling through our phones. Mindfulness is about waking up from that autopilot and really experiencing life as it unfolds.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal. But I'm also someone who likes to understand the why behind things. What's going on in our brains when we practice mindfulness? Is there any scientific evidence to back up these claims?
Absolutely. That's what I find so fascinating about mindfulness. It's not just some mystical concept. It's grounded in neuroscience. Studies using brain imaging show that mindfulness practices can physically change the structure and function of our brains. For example, regular meditation can increase gray matter density in areas like the hippocampus, which is crucial for learning and memory.
Wow, so it's almost like mindfulness is giving our brains a workout.
Exactly. And those workouts have real benefits. Mindfulness can actually help regulate the amygdala, the part of our brain that triggers our stress response. So when you practice mindfulness, you're essentially calming down that fight or flight reaction, which can have a ripple effect throughout your whole body.
That's incredible. So by training our minds, we can actually impact our physical health.
It's all connected. And that's why mindfulness has been shown to have such a profound impact on stress levels, focus, emotional regulation, and even physical healing.
This is all starting to paint a very compelling picture of why mindfulness is so popular right now. But we're focusing on Full Catastrophe Living specifically. What makes this book so unique? And why do you think it resonates with so many people?
Well, it's considered a seminal work in the field for a few key reasons. First, it bridges the gap between Western skepticism and Eastern traditions. Kabat-Zinn brilliantly blends scientific research with ancient wisdom, making it accessible to a wider audience. Second, it doesn't shy away from the full spectrum of human experience, including the difficult stuff. He acknowledges that life is full of challenges, suffering, and unexpected twists and turns, what he calls the full catastrophe.
I love that he doesn't sugarcoat things. He meets us right where we are, in the messiness of life.
Exactly, and that's what makes it so relatable. He doesn't just talk about these things in abstract terms. He shares real stories of people who have transformed their lives through mindfulness.
Like the story of the businessman who had a heart attack and was forced into early retirement.
Yes, he felt completely lost and hopeless, like his life had lost all meaning. But through practicing mindfulness, he was able to rediscover joy and purpose, even in the face of this major life change.
It's such a powerful example of how mindfulness isn't about escaping life's difficulties, but about learning to navigate them with more awareness, resilience, and even peace. It's like he found a new way to approach the full catastrophe of his situation.
And that's a key theme throughout the book. It's not about achieving some kind of blissful state where you never experience negative emotions. It's about learning to be present with whatever arises, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, and to meet it with a sense of curiosity and acceptance.
This brings us to a part that I think will really pique your interest as a learner. And that's the link between mindfulness and health. There's some seriously compelling research here that I think you'll find fascinating.
You're right. This is where it gets really exciting. Studies have shown a direct link between mindfulness practices and a whole range of health benefits. We've already talked about the impact on stress, but there's so much more. For example, did you know that mindfulness has been shown to reduce inflammation in the body?
Really? Inflammation is linked to so many chronic diseases. That's a huge deal. Tell me more about this connection.
Well, chronic inflammation is basically like a low-grade fire simmering in your body. and it can contribute to everything from heart disease and cancer to autoimmune disorders and even depression. Mindfulness has been shown to help regulate the body's inflammatory response, which means it can potentially play a role in preventing and managing these conditions.
That's pretty amazing. So by calming our minds, we're actually calming the inflammation in our bodies.
Exactly. And there's research on telomeres, which are like the protective caps on our DNA strands, and their length is linked to aging. Mindfulness can actually help preserve these caps.
Wait, so mindfulness can actually impact how fast we age at a cellular level? That's
Yeah.
mind-blowing. Are there any specific studies that illustrate these health benefits?
There are tons. One that comes to mind focused on patients with psoriasis, a chronic skin condition, who are undergoing light therapy treatment. Those who practiced mindfulness meditation during the therapy healed 4 times faster than those who just received the light therapy alone.
Wow, that's a significant difference. It really highlights the potential impact mindfulness can have on our physical well-being.
And there are so many other studies showing similar results. Mindfulness has been linked to lower blood pressure, improved sleep quality, reduced chronic pain, and even a stronger immune system.
Okay, I'm sold on the benefits. But I have to be honest, I'm also feeling a little intimidated. I can barely find time to breathe, let alone meditate for hours on end. How can I possibly fit mindfulness into my already jam-packed schedule?
That's a really common misconception. And full Catastrophe Living addresses that head on. It emphasizes that mindfulness isn't just about formal meditation on a cushion. It's about bringing that same present moment awareness to your everyday activities, like eating, walking, driving, or even doing the dishes.
Okay, that sounds a little more doable. But I'm still picturing myself trying to be mindful while scrubbing a pot and thinking, ugh, this is taking forever. I could be doing something way more fun.
That's where the non-judgmental aspect of mindfulness comes in. It's not about berating yourself for having those thoughts, but simply noticing them and gently guiding your attention back to the present moment. And remember, even if you only manage a few moments of true presence, that's still a win.
So it's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. It's like building a muscle. The more you practice, the
Yeah.
easier it becomes to tap into that mindful state. And there's a story in the book that really illustrates this. It's about a firefighter who was struggling with debilitating panic attacks.
Oh, yeah. I remember him. He couldn't even put on his mask without feeling like he was suffocating.
Right. He felt trapped and terrified, and it was impacting his ability to do his job. But through practicing mindfulness, particularly mindful breathing techniques, he learned to calm his anxiety. And eventually, he was able to return to work.
That's an amazing example of how mindfulness can help us overcome challenges that seem insurmountable. It's not about ignoring our fears or anxieties, but about learning to relate to them in a new way.
And that's one of the most empowering aspects of mindfulness. It gives you the tools to face difficult situations, not by avoiding them, but by changing your relationship to them.
So we've talked about how mindfulness can help us individually, but what about our interactions with others? Relationships can be a real source of stress, whether it's with partners, family, coworkers, or even strangers. Can mindfulness really help us navigate those sometimes choppy waters?
Absolutely. In Full Catastrophe Living, Kabat-Zinn talks about how mindfulness can transform the way we interact with others. It's about cultivating deeper listening, responding instead of reacting, and creating a space of compassion and understanding.
Okay, that all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually put that into practice? Especially when we're in the heat of an argument and emotions are running high.
That's where specific techniques can be really helpful. Kabat-Zinn introduces a couple of powerful concepts called entering and blending.
Entering and blending. Those sound intriguing. Tell me more.
So entering is about truly acknowledging the other person's perspective, even if you don't agree with them. It's about stepping into their shoes and trying to see the world through their eyes. This can help break down defensiveness and create a sense of empathy and understanding.
I can see how that would be helpful. But what about blending?
Blending is about finding that common ground, even in the midst of disagreement. It's about identifying shared values or goals that can help bridge the gap between opposing viewpoints.
So it's like searching for that point of connection, that shared humanity, even when it feels like you're miles apart.
Exactly. And even if you can't completely resolve the conflict, using these techniques can create a more respectful and compassionate space for dialogue. Remember, mindfulness isn't about suppressing our emotions, but about becoming aware of them and then choosing how we respond.
Okay, this is giving me a lot to think about, but I have to be honest. The idea of quieting my mind and being fully present, especially in those heated moments, feels pretty daunting. Is it really realistic to expect that we can all achieve this Zen-like calm?
Kabat-Zinn acknowledges that mindfulness takes effort, patience, and most importantly, self-compassion. It's not about instantly becoming a meditation master, but about gradually cultivating a new way of being in the world. He emphasizes that even small moments of mindfulness can have a ripple effect over time.
So consistency is key, even if it's just for a few minutes each day.
Exactly. And he shares a really inspiring anecdote about a woman who was struggling with debilitating migraines. Through years of dedicated mindfulness practice, she was able to gain control over her pain. It wasn't a quick fix, but a long-term commitment to transforming her relationship with her condition.
That's pretty remarkable. But I can imagine there are days when even 5 minutes of mindfulness feels like a struggle.
Yeah.
How do we stay motivated when our minds are constantly craving distractions and pulling us in a million different directions?
That's a challenge we all face. But Kabat-Zinn offers a really powerful quote in the book. He says, "Your meditation practice will only be as powerful as your motivation to dispel the fog of your own lack of awareness."
Wow. That's a powerful statement. So it's almost like mindfulness is a journey of self-discovery. It's about peeling back the layers of our own minds to see what's really going on beneath the surface.
You got it. And the motivation comes from recognizing that by dispelling that fog, we gain clarity, insight, and ultimately a sense of freedom.
Freedom from those habitual patterns and reactive tendencies that can keep us feeling stuck.
Precisely. And that's what makes mindfulness so transformative. It's about recognizing that we have a choice in how we respond to life's challenges, instead of being ruled by our automatic reactions.
So it's not about escaping the full catastrophe of life, but about equipping ourselves with the tools to navigate it with more awareness, resilience, and maybe even a sense of peace.
Exactly. And that's what full catastrophe living is all about. It's about embracing the messiness of life, with all its ups and downs, and finding a way to thrive amidst the chaos.
I love that. So we've covered a lot of ground here, from the science behind mindfulness to its practical applications in everyday life. But I'm curious, what's resonating most with you so far? What are some of the key takeaways that you're finding particularly insightful or intriguing?
For me, it's the interconnectedness that Kabat-Zinn emphasizes. It's not just about our individual well-being. It's about recognizing how interconnected we are with everything and everyone around us.
That's a really interesting point, I think, a lot of times, especially in our fast-paced, individualistic culture. We forget that we're part of something much bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. Mindfulness helps us tap into that sense of interconnectedness, whether it's with the people in our lives, the natural world, or even just with our own bodies and minds.
It's like mindfulness expands our circle of awareness, helping us see beyond our own limited perspectives.
And that shift in perspective can be really powerful. It can cultivate more compassion, understanding, and even a sense of responsibility for our actions and their impact on others.
It's like that saying, we're all just walking each other home. Mindfulness helps us see that journey more clearly and to walk it with more kindness and awareness.
I love that analogy, and I think that's a beautiful way to sum up what full catastrophe living is all about. It's about embracing the full spectrum of human experience, the good, the bad, and the messy, and finding a way to live with more presence, purpose, and connection.
Well, I think you've done an incredible job unpacking the wisdom and insights of this book. I'm definitely feeling inspired to incorporate more mindfulness into my own life.
I'm glad to hear that. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. Start small. Be patient with yourself and celebrate every step you take towards greater awareness and presence.
That's great advice. So there you have it, your deep dive into mindfulness. We've explored the core concepts, the science behind it, the practical applications, and even how it can transform our relationships. But this is just the beginning. One thing that really struck me was how mindfulness can empower us to face the full catastrophe of life, not with fear or avoidance, but with courage, compassion, and a sense of presence. What resonated most with you? What are you curious to explore further? Keep those questions in mind as you continue on your own mindfulness journey. Remember, every moment is an opportunity to wake up and really live